I'm looking at you right out the chairs.
Okay, it's 5:30. We will call the December 3rd, 2018 sales and use tax meeting to order. First of all, everybody on the sales and use sheet, there is actually a little more money than this because we don't have the November figures on here. It'll be a little bit more, probably not a lot, just so you know. First thing on the agenda is WIETA. Who's presenting for WIETA? Huh? Nobody?
Oh, I don't really have anything to present.
Okay.
I can discuss a little bit.
Okay.
So, we're requesting again the $50,000 for the salary for the Economic Development Director. Pam over here. I guess mainly I just kind of wanted to talk about maybe some of the reservations that, not just you guys, but maybe other people in the community have. I think at times it can be difficult to get across really everything that's going on, and that's definitely an area that we're going to improve upon. Tana's already kind of put together, kind of a one, or however many pages it is, but 1 or 2 page, kind of everything that we're working on to start giving to groups, whether that be the city commission or you guys or the park, or kind of everyone. We do have some lack of communication between groups in town. I mean, that's definitely apparent, and I'm sure you guys see that in all the groups that you're in. And that's a place that we need to improve upon. It would be difficult to lose the director position. It's just hard not have someone there on the ground that people can call. I mean, if you say you have a new teacher or a new business, potential business owner in town, who are they going to call and go talk to? I know this year at the bank I've had 2 or 3 potential business deals, that Tana's worked on. And there again, I mean, that's not something that we can just go and tell everybody about, but that's something that she's working on. And, they don't always go through, but that doesn't mean that a lot of time isn't being put into that. So that would be, regardless, something that we're going to do moving forward is increased communication with kind of little memos, but then also going to other groups' meetings and just trying to let everyone know, kind of what we can do for people. And that doesn't always have to be money. I know the Legion, I went to the kitchen meeting the other day and, volunteered WIETA to go around to businesses and raise some money for this project, because that's what we're here for. So, I guess, do you guys have any questions? Or anybody have any questions? Kind of about what we're doing? You'd like to see anything different moving forward? That's another big thing is, we're kind of doing what we think needs to be done, but moving forward, we're going to be asking for more feedback. And, hopefully we can get started on this strategic plan. But what does everyone in the community want us to be doing? That's, I think sometimes when we ask people, they kind of give you a blank stare like, oh, I don't know. But we definitely want some feedback on potential projects that we could be doing. There are funds out there. I mean, there is grant money that could be available if we had a really good project and we put together a good plan. I mean, the money always doesn't have to come out of tax money, from the locals. I mean, there is options out there. But you need someone to put that together. So.
How many members of WIETA are there?
There's 43. That was in the last information that she got.
Oh, I didn't see a number in there.
It was the last submission. We got detail of everybody that was
Okay.
a member.
42, that's
And
fine.
actually, the number this year is up from the past 5 years.
Just curious.
When was the last strategic plan done? I see there's one in the packet that was 2007. Is that,
That one wasn't updated.
Well, 2001, a complete comprehensive plan, capital improvements, everything was done. 2007, economic development just did, in contingent with the city or parallel with the city, but it was more an economic development update to strategic plan. I just received a grant from the Department of Commerce for $7,000 to do a strategic plan for Washburn. So the last city commission meeting, we visited about that, and that's something the city commission has committed to, that come January, that they will help and they will engage in doing a strategic plan along with other community members, so that when projects come up, we're all on the same page.
right, that's good. How often should something like that be done? I mean, I'm just curious, is it,
At least every 5 years. You
Yeah,
know,
I
if you
kinda
are going to
figured
apply
that.
for some of these grants, you have to have an updated plan. And they do say, you know, like a capital plan is 5 years, possibly 10 years, but you should be revisiting it every year.
yeah,
And cities should be budgeting, you know, according to what the strategic plan is, projects, groups, organizations, you know, based on the strategic
okay,
plan.
thanks.
Not me.
Don't look
I
at
I don't know, I guess I've talked to one individual in town and said, apparently you were going to meet with him on several different occasions, but you never showed up. Not really sure why.
You know, Larry, I'm going to comment back, because you brought that back up at the last sales and use tax meeting, and I don't want to get into, like you said, she said, but, you know, I've also heard people say that Larry was supposed to meet me doing this, so I don't think hearing from one person is a good look at the community and the impact that economic development is having on the community. Because for one person that maybe talked to you and said something, there's probably more to the story, obviously there is, and there's probably many, many more that have said the good things that economic development have done for them.
I'm just making a comment.
And I'm just responding.
And if someone really has a problem, they should be telling one of the board members or something, I would think, if they really think it's a problem.
Yeah,
And we will deal with it.
yeah.
Or call me.
Well, that would be up to them, yeah. Okay. I have talked to several people on the street. I have people that have told me that they do not support it at all. I have people that told me they support it. I have people that told me they support it, but the salary is too much at this point, for what we're getting. So, so I've talked to everybody on all gamut of it, just so you know that. It's not one-sided. I guess I see in your packet here, it seems like you're involved in just a whole bunch of stuff, you've got like your Santa Day, your tree lighting, your Small Business Saturday, and I don't really know where that fits in on your director position, because everybody else on those committees is volunteer. That's kind of one of the issues. And it also said, in here how, they were commenting on being on the park board. Well, that, once again, is not really part of your director job, because park board members get paid. So that would be like double dipping if that's part of your job there. I'm just pointing out things. Personally, I think that, who's phone is that? Personally, I think that you do a lot of your marketing to promote yourself, and we do, WAIDA, rather than maybe going a little bit further into business and commerce expansion and retention. Just my thoughts, to get it started here.
So I don't hear anything about all the marketing material that you've been marketing Washburn. I hear you talking about Sanity and the little stuff, but what about all that?
Well, I went to the last meeting with the commission, I can't remember which one, I very publicly commended her on the good job that she did on that.
Have you read through my job description, Larry, as far as the economic development director?
I read through the amount of papers that we were given, yeah.
And the job description should have been part of that. In reading through that, you will see that one of the line items in there is to be involved in different community organizations.
Mhm.
So as part of the job description that was written up by the WAITA board, that is something that I do to promote the community, to find out what the community needs are. Economic development, promoting that, Santa Days, you're talking about tree lighting, bringing people into the community. It's not just all about opening a new business, it's getting and attracting people to our community to buy gas, to buy a Coke, to go up to the amusement park.
Interpret.
Thank
Well,
you.
and, so, you know, and I've definitely heard some people that have also said that, you know, what are we really getting, right?
Mhm.
And that's, like I said, that's a tough thing to quantify, but then when you ask them, what do they want?
Mhm.
They say, well, we want economic development. Well, what does that mean? And, you know, we're talking about some negatives, and, you know, I don't disagree with you. Maybe the board needs to work with Tana to reposition some of her time.
Mhm.
You know, maybe that's, so, you know, I don't want you guys to get stuck on, well, this is what was done in the past, that's gonna be what her job is moving forward. We can reposition that,
Right.
that's not a problem.
Right.
You know, if we see that that's what we want her to do,
Mhm.
that's what we'll do.
Mhm.
As I was going through the files, I found a letter, a memo actually, from Rachel Ritteroth, who at that time was the WAITA director. And March 2nd, 2006, she actually made in this memo a recommendation to the board members for a full-time economic development director, city planner, for a $50,000 annual plus benefits salary. So even back in 2006, the salary that was being recommended was $50,000. I also did a survey, which you should see in some of the materials, that if you look at other communities, I'm actually not as well compensated as other communities. And if you would go to a contract economic development director, it's actually much, much more. So, I mean, people may say they're not getting what they pay for, but it's also, it's not a position where someone right out of college can do it, or, you disagree with that, Larry?
Just maybe not, I don't know.
So, you need someone that is a professional and someone that can sit in a meeting and speak professionally, and somebody that also knows the community.
Yeah, my concern is, you know, that this is public money, if it's public funds going for this, we want to make sure that we get the most for our dollar. That's my biggest concern.
Larry, are you accepting any comments from people that aren't on WAITA?
Absolutely.
I was just gonna make one, because I used to serve on the WAITA board, but when there were a couple past directors that we were missing that component, and we heard loud and clear from the community that it's all great and fine that we have an economic development director, but this person isn't invested in the community, they don't go to our events, they don't come to our meetings. And we tried, you know, we heard that for 2 to 3 years, and so we tried to take that into account when we put the job description together for this economic development director. And we did add economic development and marketing. So we added that component in because we really felt that there wasn't somebody taking on that role, and the city wasn't able to do it. And so we weaved it into there so we could market the community as a whole. And I think Tony has a really good point that there's probably a fine line from doing that marketing outward to doing marketing for events to get people to come and enjoy themselves, like the tree lighting and Santa Day. So maybe it's just an opportunity that, you know, we have those outward marketing materials done. Now we have some community events going on that people are coming to. There's a really good feel in our community. There's new people, I mean, I see new people at the school all the time, and I see them at these events, and that's what we have to get people to do to like Washburn. You know, we need to make them feel a part of it, and we need to make them feel comfortable, so maybe they do wanna open businesses, or maybe they're with companies and they're remote workers and they wanna establish here, but I just think that we have really good momentum going on, and I'd really hate to see us at this point just pull back because maybe we're not totally on the right focus. So maybe it's just time to reposition, relook at where we're putting the director's time and effort. And then maybe those 43 members, maybe some of our business community is seeing the benefits, so they might be willing to increase their membership to match what's going on here. Or, you know, maybe there's a phased what we can do to pull the funds together, but that's my opinion that it would be the wrong time to pull out from the efforts that we've been making with economic development, community development, and marketing.
At our last meeting, we had a discussion about qualitative versus quantitative things. And I agree that the community of Washburn has a lot of things that we feel good about. But it's not reflected in taxable sales. So even though we're feeling good about these events, we're still not generating the funds that go back into this account to support those efforts. So I mean, we have to worry about that. I mean, this last quarter, we're about 8% behind last year at this time. You know, we have 8% less money in these accounts. It's slowly going back, even though, you're right, need the momentum to make it happen. But are we focusing our energy in the right place? And I like those numbers and figures. That's just my personality. You can tell me all day long that we feel this is working, but if you don't show me some data to support that feeling, you know, I struggle with agreeing with going forward the way we have been without some change.
It's also hard to, you know, if you look at the total taxable income in the town, I mean, how can, and that's the thing, right, how can you say this has affected that or this affected that? You know, that's impossible. I mean, you know, we're just, you know, kind of globally in North Dakota, I mean, we're down significantly. Our businesses are struggling, to be honest.
How far do your numbers go back? I guess.
On those sheets, I have,
I just have this one here.
I have something from
last meeting?
Well, I have 2012, 13, 14 on these sheets that we had at the last.
Is it year over year they're going decreasing? Because that's what I'd be, you know, maybe 1 year you have a down year, but if it's 5, 7, 10 years where sales tax is going down every year, I mean,
we
tough to compare.
we've been going down since 2015.
So the other thing you could do is look at the state, you could look at community and county and get your 10-year, but I think you should also look at jobs. You know, jobs are just as much about economic development as a new storefront and a taxable sale. So I think you're right, Kevin, and I think that we should look at all those things and we should, you know, start that quantitative, but jobs are really important.
Well, I agree, and businesses, entrepreneurship is also part of this. If we expend the money that's available in the sales and use tax fund to pay an economic development person, and then there's nothing in that fund to prop up some of those businesses like there has been in the past, and what's that position accomplishing? Yes, we're getting the word out, talking about our community is a great place to do it, but you're on your own to do it. Unless that person or WAIDA advocates for tax breaks, some other kinds of things that the city could do with some of these other funds to help that, foster that along.
I think it's a balancing act of, you know, us having money to help businesses and or having a person in place, you know, to go and look at all these other programs out there to kind of be that person, you know, that there's a lot of programs out there, you know, with the state and Bank of North Dakota. And so,
for instance, we just talked about grants for a strategic plan. Is it a matching grant?
Yeah.
But it's not a
Well, it
matching
was,
grant. You
but
got
it-
$7,000, but the estimate on the strategic plan was $10,000. Where's the other $3,000 going to come from?
The quote I actually got was for $7,000.
So the grant covers all of it.
It does.
Okay. Well, I thought in there you had two estimates. Is that right?
No, the one that we are looking at is the $7,000
Okay.
one, but we also, the entire grant is $21,000, so if we happen to go over, we also have other funding.
But why do a grant if we don't have anybody to implement the
Exactly.
the
I agree.
strategic plan, you know? Why spend 7,000 when we don't have anybody capable of doing it?
Well, honestly, the first one in 2001 was done by volunteers. Terry was part of that, I know, right?
This one will be too. It was actually administered by the Department of Commerce.
Yeah, Leilani, you have to.
This year, we went ahead and with the pumpkin event, and through that, I was consulting with Hannah for a couple months on the project. And my goal was to benefit the community, bring a fun event to the community and be a fundraiser for the McLean County Resource Center. And there was people that drove from Center, Bismarck, Lincoln, that actually came because of our connections and it being on social media. And, you know, being able to donate $500 to the McLean County Resource Center within a 2-hour period of time was phenomenal. And I commend Hannah for assisting with the bulletins and putting it on the social media. You know, her position is intangible, and none of us see some of the hours that she puts in and some of the things that she has done, and I commend her for being nominated as one of the 3 economic developers in the state of North Dakota and not bringing a new jobs to town, I guess. And so I think that her vision is on the right track. She's a native of Washburn, and I think that, you know, we need to support what she's doing because I think in general she's doing good for us.
Comments?
Kevin, something else. Did you happen to get a chance to read this
Mhm.
that I put in there? Your comments that you just made are all answered in this, and this is an article that was distributed by the National League of Cities, which I know the city looks to for guidance and so forth. But it's very, in detail in here says that it is very difficult to measure the success of economic developers, and that it's almost impossible to do it. So if the League of Cities is saying that, I mean, I understand you as a member on this committee also say that, and it's a legitimate point. But when you've got so many moving, pieces to the puzzle, economic development is what you make it to be, and it can be measured however you want to make it. But and even the League of Cities says that.
I think, you know, something we could potentially do, right, to measure it is, you know, I mean, when someone like that, you just said, oh, we got $500 for the resource center. Well, who really knows that? No one really knows that. I mean, we could be tracking these things more, or if we do Small Business Saturday, you know, and you talk to Claudia Scott, the hardware store, maybe she's like, well, you know, over what my normal Saturday is, this Saturday, my sales are up 25%. I mean, that's a tangible number that without that event, you know, she would have had less sales.
Mark,
And I'm just pulling that out, I'm not saying that's what her numbers were.
Mark had a
Have you
comment.
guys checked what the sales are in the neighboring towns, Turtle Lake, to compare if their sales have gone down in the last 2 years?
Businesses are actually closing.
I was gonna say Underwood, you couldn't compare it to here, because their businesses are closing, they aren't staying open.
That's, my other point was, we
Totally
just had
different
2
town.
businesses change hands in the last 2 months. I mean, at least we have a business that's going down and somebody's coming in and saying, I'm gonna start my business back up. You know, like K&D, he sold his business so he can retire. I mean, we're very fortunate, very,
We're
very,
very fortunate that somebody bought
Right.
that, absolutely.
you know.
And we'll need some wider funding from the revolving loan fund.
And the
You know,
owner of K&D called us and asked for support.
You know, and before, you know, Donnie Rourke had his business, and that was thriving just because of health issues. You know, he stepped away from that line of business, and he didn't take anything away from Keith. I mean, we can, we got Weber Electric, look what all they're doing, their new business. I mean, the opportunity is here. I mean, I think Washburn is thriving compared to the other neighboring towns. Like he brings up, we have momentum here, and by those little things that we're doing, dog park, you know, candy caravan, we're bringing something to the younger crowd of wanting to move here, wanting to stay here, you know, wanting to do business here. I mean, it's, even though we're only 40 miles from Bismarck, I try to support Washburn as much as I can.
I do too, you know. I don't think we're we're not sitting here against economic development.
No,
You know, what we're trying to determine here is, you know, funding of the director position, okay? Personally, I don't have a problem funding part of it, say maybe half of that, and maybe WAIDA funding the other half with what they have. You know, and then,
Mark,
hang on, okay, go ahead.
just, and again, I don't think, like Larry said, I don't think anybody's against it. People sometimes come off the wrong way, but they really are. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but when anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, but when I look through the 1 cent sales tax ordinance, the way it's written, does not specify anything about wages for an economic development director. It talks about certain percentage has to go for projects. If that's something, to me, I'm reading this, that it should have never been funded with city sales tax prior. That should, if that wasn't done, that ordinance should be written to include that.
It says, for community and economic development projects enhancing the general welfare of the Washburn area, including but not limited to business and commerce expansion and retention and other projects in and outside the city limits that will enhance the growth, maintenance, and development of the community of Washburn. That's ordinance 136.
In your project application, it says a contract fee for a 1-year contract. When is your contract period?
August.
August to August.
August to July.
I thought I read something in one of these papers that it was October or November. I thought, where did I read that at? I don't know if it was one of your other ones or
Well,
2017 when you had,
We didn't ask.
we don't have a copy of the contract that you have with
yeah,
your employee, so it's
it was on one of these.
neither here nor there. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
whatever.
nothing that says that this committee needs to abide by the contract period that
Right,
WAIDA sets forward.
right, that's true. That's true. Any other comments from anyone? Yes, Joe?
This is a new guy in town.
Okay.
Welcome.
I have an opinion on this development community, it's kind of like fishing. Sometimes you catch a business, sometimes you don't. But if you're not out there catching, you ain't gonna catch it. So for us to stop this economic development, to me, is a bad thing. Because then you're stopping this momentum, and I hear folks talk about this momentum. If you have somebody on the ground working, then you should hang on to that person until that person is proved to be worthless. I don't believe Tana is worthless. She sees that there is a communication problem in this town, and if she addresses that problem alone, that will be huge. To get the events, the different events in the community talking to each other so they can help each other out, I think is enormous. And to have one person to go to do that is an absolutely good item. Now, how you guys go to fund your wages or pay for it, that's none of my business. But to get rid of economic development, community, or a person, one person that you can go to, I recommend you don't do that. And
Thank you.
yeah.
Anybody else? I guess, like I said, I wouldn't be opposed to, us funding half. I would like to see WAIDA, maybe fund the other half. So I'm going to make a motion that We authorized $25,000 from the economic development for, the economic director position. Okay, do we have a second to the motion? Okay, do we have a second to the motion? Okay, third and final call, do we have a second? Okay, motion drops for no second?
I'd make a motion that we fund the 50,000 out of the economic development fund, which, give or take a little because we don't have total figures, is at 87,376 as of this spreadsheet.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
No. Did you vote?
I haven't yet. I'll vote aye.
Okay, so, the ayes have it. Okay, very good. Then it passed.
I have clarification on it.
Yes,
What's the period of funding?
let her know. Who made the motion?
I made the motion.
What's the period?
Would you want to amend it, or?
Do you want to amend it once we voted on it? I was under understanding it was funding for the salary as they needed it, like we've done in the past for our committee requests.
You're talking for 2019, or what are you talking for?
Yes, for the next upcoming year.
Till another request is made. If they don't come back and request more money, then it's just not an automatic annual.
Well, it's not automatic, no.
They come back
Right.
every year and request funds, so I don't see why having a term on it is necessary.
Well, I guess we need to know how long it's going to be. I mean, is it from January 1st to December 31st? Is it from July to July? I mean, I don't know.
Well, there's never been a term on any other funds that we've given money to. That I've seen.
Well, I mean, Kevin asked for clarification, so I guess.
If the contract period for the economic development director is August to July, then I think we need to stick with what that,
Is that what it is, August to July?
then I think we need to stay with that and not create any more issues or problems down the
now
road
until
and
next July.
looking at funding erratically throughout the year. We gotta stick to something.
That's about when we would come back to request again. 'Cause
August,
that
you're
would be our
saying, or-
1 year period.
Your calendar runs from August until the next July.
Yes.
Well, that's
For her.
that's when she started,
Yeah.
was August or September 1st, mid-August, I think is when she started. That's why we're on that cycle. So basically, we asked for a year's worth of the contract.
Does that answer your question?
I guess.
Okay. All right, Washburn American Legion. Come on up, guys. All right, you're ganging up on us, all right.
We had a lot thinner packet than the others.
Okay.
Not as professional looking either.
Who does this ordinance belong to? Is that,
Oh, I think it started at me and got passed.
is it Larry's?
What is Larry?
No, that one's mine.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Got
okay.
136? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I got mine. Okay, gentlemen,
Yes.
speak.
What? Okay, well, we're requesting 55,000. The total project we project is gonna be 110,000. And some of it is a guess. I tried to get Jamie Weber to give us a written estimate. And until we have the room gutted, it's almost impossible. So he gave us a verbal bid. He said 15 to 20,000 should do it. Levy, he gave us a written bid, but he's 10 to 13,000. So these are just wild guesses. The flooring is probably pretty close. The material is $3 to $3.50 a square foot, and about $7 a square foot for installation. Run 10 to 1050, and there's roughly 650 square feet. That's like 7,000. And then the material for the walls, we're looking at putting a chipboard, half-inch chipboard with those 4x8 sheets of vinyl or plastic, whatever it is. Fiberglass. It'll be about $13,000. And then there's always overage. So we run like 7,000 on overage. And the stainless steel, the bid came in was right at 100,000. But they had a bunch of stuff on there, freezers, and that we dropped off right away. So the stainless steel is very expensive. You know, the hood. The hood itself is like 16,000. The fire suppression is 4,000. You're looking at 20,000 just for the hood and the fire suppression. The installation was like 13,000. So 33,000 for that. The rest of it, like the stoves, $3,000. You get a good commercial stove. Stainless steel cupboards and stainless steel shelving. You have to have a triple sink for doing dishes, wash, rinse, sanitation. And then you cannot wash your hands in that sink, so you have to have another sink for hand washing. And then you need a sink for preparation. You know, so there's a lot of rules that the state health department, you know, if you want to make meals for people, you have to follow the rules. So it's expensive as the dickens.
And they'll come in and check on it too.
Well, we're going to get it inspected
Regular,
because
yeah.
it needs to meet health department rules.
Code.
It needs to be able to be used by people in the community for all kinds of functions, you know, for us, for our functions, the Lions, the churches, weddings, everything. And then we have a kind of a payment plan. Well, we're asking $55,000 from the sales and use tax, and that's kind of like a bump start. And the Legion has pledged $10,000, and the city's pledged $10,000. So if we got the 55, that would be enough to gut the building, and we need to make the one room into a table storage room. We need, because we're going to, on the drawing, to go back to the original drawing. Over on the left here, where it says table storage, we're going to move a wall towards the south. That's that one room where you get, and then we'll take everything all the way down to the south wall. It's an exterior wall.
Is this facing like
Yes,
this?
yes.
Okay.
See, the table storage now is down here on the end,
Right.
way on the right. We're going to move it to the middle, and then, because we need an exterior wall to mount the fan and everything, and there's not enough headroom in the three rooms that way. So anyway, we would start demolition right after, in January, if we have the funds. The Lions, we hope the Lions pledge 5,000. We kind of put a feeler out that may not happen. And then we're looking at some area businesses. We hope to get 4,000 there. And Tony thought maybe it could get way more than that, but that's just a guess. The community donations, we asked the community individuals, we hope like 3,000. Donated labor, do about 5,000. And then the Legion's having a gun raffle. We're gonna raffle 50 guns off, and we want to make $18,000 on that, and then donate that to the kitchen project, which miraculously comes out to $110,000. Imagine that. But anyhow, you know, the 5,000 Lions pledge may not happen, but we may get way more from the area businesses and private donations. Don't know. So, and if, for instance, we got business donations and community donations of more than this, we wouldn't need the whole 55,000. But to get started, we need a good amount to get started.
So what you're saying is, that would get us started, and then if the more donations
Right.
you get, then
Well, see,
it could be given back.
The
Could
gun
be
raffle
given
won't be done till April.
Right.
We won't have that money till April.
Right.
The community donations and the business donations, I don't know when they'll start rolling in.
Right.
And the Lions pledge, you know, they're good people. They're going to do something. Just what, I have no idea.
To add, can I add?
Absolutely.
My turn? To add on what he's saying is, we're going to look for some used items if they come up, and we have a few other restaurants that went under. So we are looking for used stuff to save us money. But we asked a few people out there about forgetting about the dishwasher because we wanted to save money. And all the people that I had talked to said, do not forget that dishwasher, just so you don't. Okay, so the dishwasher is not going to be forgotten, and I believe that will be one of the higher items. The other thing is, this is going to be on the ground level. There's not going to be any more steps involved, so it's going to be very easy access. And the one other thing is the electrical bid. Now, that's a $20,000 bid. But that electrical, at some point in time, folks, you guys are going to eat that because you're going to have to update the electrical in that building. I don't know if you ever went down there in the furnace room or whatever, but at some point in time, you're going to have to. So really, that $20,000 shouldn't be included in this bid, but you're going to have to eat it, you know, sooner or later.
The city will.
The wrong bunch.
Yeah,
The wrong bunch. The city has to do it.
Yeah, the city's going to have to do it to it.
Yeah, these are the sales and use tax people.
Okay, I was just trying to thank you.
Just
Thank you for that.
giving them a heads up, right?
Yeah, just giving you a heads up, yeah, just giving you a heads up.
How often
We got a
is
heads
the
up.
memorial building rented?
I don't know, it has been rented quite a bit lately.
And that is what we're trying to do.
Sure.
One of the biggest things we got rid of was that plastic on the floor. I think the Legion was a big push to get rid of that plastic, so we could have weddings, wedding dances, and other functions on there. Just so you know. I don't know, maybe somebody's got a
Excuse me,
soapbox
somebody has a
there
question.
on that.
I had a catering business in Minot, and we rented a kitchen from the Burlington J.C.'s, which was 7 miles out of Minot. Majority, you know, we did, you know, Burlington J.C. events, we did a Minot Rotary Club event, we did graduation events, and so we were commercially approved by the health inspector in Minot. We had a license. We didn't have those fire suppression systems for the stoves. We used regular stoves, refrigerators, regular, you know, basically residential appliances. As for something that's coming up that I've registered, and another individual from Washburn has registered a company to cater. We're a catering business that's starting up. On the perspective of what's needed in the kitchen at the Memorial Hall wouldn't be all of what you're talking, because the process when you do catering is first, you prep work, you do your shopping, then you do your hauling to your location where you're gonna store it. Then you've got prep day, then you've got, gather the next day, and then you're delivering the next day, and then you're, cleaning up, following that night. So as far as if you're looking outside the community for, I'm gonna say Kyle's Catering and Garrison, they aren't gonna haul all their supplies that they're gonna need to wash for and go back home. And then come back the next day and get it all cooked and prepped and then go back to Garrison. It's not feasible. Your time is such a huge element in catering. You don't, that's 4 hours, that they're gonna be round trip. Minot, Bismarck, you're not gonna have caterers that are actually gonna, come to town to use the cooking facilities. I get, upgrading the systems to have, so your breaker boxes don't blow, and what we use is roasters, we use chafing dishes, we, have all of our storage containers, that's all prepared at the location that you pay for already. And so I don't know if your intent is, if you had a catering site or you have an individual that's gonna have an event, if you're gonna charge extra to recoup those dollars and put it back in to the Memorial Hall, but that's just a consideration that I would strongly suggest that you look at. And I know Tana had posted on what people thought in the community was, how they felt about it, where their support was. And I think what I saw was about 50% were, yeah, it's a great idea, but then I myself, who's been in it, are doing it, and, also Emmy up at the cabin, had commented just to upgrade those electrical systems so that we aren't blowing breakers, having coolers, having
Warming
warmers,
oven.
oven warmers. Those are the most important things that you're gonna do, because I wouldn't go into the kitchen and prepare, because it's a new kitchen, I don't know where everything's at, and then you've got pots, pans, spices, things, gloves, what's there, they're gonna have to scout that out ahead of time, and so are you gonna have the same person that's gonna utilize that particular space? Because if you go into somebody's kitchen, they're all set up differently, how they make it efficient. And so those are just some considerations, and, I think it's great. I think, what you guys have done with the sound system's phenomenal. I think the floor looks phenomenal. I noticed that right away when I went in to vote. But I think this maybe should be, something that would be a little bit more consideration before you invest all this money, where I don't think you're going to recoup the dollars and maybe drop as many people as you think if you, put all these heavy-duty investments, kitchen investment in the Memorial Hall.
And what is your name?
Leitlani.
Leitlani.
I think what she was describing is, for instance, we had a wedding there. We had Kyle's Catering, but they are self-contained. So all they needed was a kitchen space. So their trailer had what they needed. They brought as much cooked as they're going to do. They did their site prep they needed to, but they didn't need a kitchen. So he's not gonna pay for more. I'm not gonna pay for more for renting it, because you're gonna have a kitchen. I rented and paid more for my caterer, I paid for the hall rent, but I can't pay more for an industrial kitchen because I had to pay for a caterer.
We understand that.
Yeah.
The kitchen, when we started the project, it was for everybody, not just caterers. It's for the Lions when they have their pancake days. It's for the Legion. It's for churches.
It's benefiting the
It's
community.
for the community. It could be, it could be somebody has a wedding and hires somebody to cook for them. Judy Heitman would like to cater. Her kitchen does not meet health department codes. She would need a place to cook. Yes.
I actually work with Judy. I'm actually a kitchen assistant for her, and she just made the comment that she's too old to cater. I'm sorry, I'm like, Judy, I'm sorry. So she honestly, quote unquote, did say that. And,
Well,
you know, it is getting up to the point where she lifts 50 to 70 pound boxes multiple times a day. You know, she said if she was younger, that would be something that she would address to doing. But I think that, you know, if she maybe directs somebody, that would be a different story. But I don't think that's in her cards, you know, to
Well,
do.
that could be, because she told me that she'd like to be a caterer.
Right.
But people change their mind all the time.
How much is the rent for the hall, Rainey, for a weekend, if a person's gonna book it for a wedding?
I can't remember if it was $250. I have to go look at their.
I think it's $250, but
I think
that's
it's
all
$250.
weekend.
Yeah, that's Friday to a Monday.
Let's say it's $250. In my own mind, I can't fathom we can rent that building for $250. So if we could have a building with a kitchen in it, and I don't know if you guys know or not, Larry and I sit on the committee, but just as a resident of Washburn, that'd make that building usable. I mean, $250, you can't rent a banquet room in Bismarck, and if you do that, then you're looking at having to have that place catering.
Looking at thousands.
Yeah.
When we put in the information for catering, we requested the caterers to come to us, to our meetings, and have a little sit down and talk to us. So this information that you gave us right now, it would have been helpful way back then, and it still is helpful right now. But what we wanted to do was assist the caterers. But we also want, if that entrepreneur is right down the street in Washburn, and that's who we're focusing on, is the people that are in Washburn. If they want to start a catering business, or they want to do some cooking or something and be able to sell it legally, we want to give them that opportunity, okay?
What that's gonna do, though, is if you're renting it to an individual and say you still wanna leave the door open for somebody else to come in and use it, it's gonna hinder, you know, when can I go in? Oh, now somebody else has it going. That's gonna, you know, cross over, and it's gonna make it unattractive for somebody that wants to rent it, because it's still open to the public to be able to come in and say, oh yeah, we do have this kitchen, but, you know, this caterer has this job going on, so you can't have it. You know, so I'm just,
That's a scheduling thing.
And we're working on scheduling and easier access, but if a caterer wants that and just wants the kitchen downstairs, they can use that downstairs for their water and stuff, and you could have a whole nother one upstairs the night before catering a different one for the next night. Because my wife's done a lot of food cooking at 4-H camp. When health officials come in and you're not up to date, you're in big trouble. And we're better off doing it right instead of trying to piece things together, because you never know when somebody's catering kitchen gets shut down and they have a catering job, they can go to another catering deal and cook in that one.
well, there's other options in the community. If you belong to, say, I do as First Lutheran, if I have some failures in my kitchen as far as appliances, unless there's something going on, you know, then I, you know, could reach out to them, and I'm sure they would say, yes, that's fine, you know, no problem, you coming in and using it. So, I mean, there is other options as far as that goes. But it is very hard work. It's very, very labor intensive. It's very physically intensive when you have to haul all your, you know, things. And then if you have to go in the basement and haul them back up, because they're saying, well, you can use the basement.
Well, that's the
You know.
kitchen you wanted with water. That's
Well.
basically what it is. Then you wouldn't have to rent the upstairs.
Okay, I think we're getting kind of off track for just a little bit. So, very good input though. So, does anybody have any questions, comments, motion, whatever?
Do you three other board members have an issue with Larry and I voting on this, since we're on that committee?
I don't.
If no one has an issue with it, then I would make the motion that we would grant the Legion a request for the city building of $55,000 to update the upstairs memorial building kitchen, and the funds would come out of the community development and infrastructure, with the understanding that if they find additional funding, they would return whatever is being used because they found additional funding. Meaning that don't use our $55,000 and return somebody else's to them.
Right,
Right, understood.
and that's actually in their application too. Okay,
Just so that was clear.
yep, absolutely. So we have a motion, do we have a second?
Let me finish here.
Oh, I thought you were done with your
No,
motion.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
And that they would turn in receipts as items are paid for. So it isn't just a 55 and spend it as needed, but there's actually, the receipts are turned in.
Quick,
We're going to-
quick question on that motion.
Yes.
Does that mean they don't get the money until the receipts are turned in?
No, as it's used,
But I mean, do they get the 55 all at once, and then they turn in receipts, or?
We're doing reimbursables.
They should have a project recap, you know, that demonstrates all of the costs. That's what you're requiring, right?
that's what I'm trying to say, yes, Kevin.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
I second.
Now, discussion. Are you gonna say something, Terry?
Yeah, we're gonna open up a checkbook, and Peggy and Daryl are gonna be, so we're going to account for the expenditures.
Sure.
And we can certainly bring everything over to the city. Correct?
Correct. I'd encourage you to contact some caterers and get some feedback from them about their needs.
That's a good point.
We have contacted them, and they forgot to come. They got busy. But yes, I have talked to the people at the cabin a couple times, and they pretty much said, like that lady, they probably won't use the kitchen. And I understand that, because they have their own kitchen. But then I posed a question to them. I said, what would happen if you got a catering job and it's during, say, a Friday and Saturday? It's going to be a busy Friday, Saturday, and someone else comes and wants you to cater. I said, you'll use the kitchen down here, because if your kitchen's already taxed to the max, you're going to use it. And they agreed. They agreed they would, but normally they wouldn't use it, because they have their own kitchen, and we understand that. But caterers are not the only people that are going to use that kitchen.
You know, I think you mentioned a couple of things early on where you have a prep sink, a hand washing sink, all these things. How is an average person going to know which one of those, and who's going to
Okay.
manage that? I mean, does that sit with the city?
The hand wash sink is a little sink, looks like a bathroom sink.
You ain't gonna put no dishes in that one.
And the
Have you ever dealt with people?
the triple sink is for pots and pans and dishes.
I'm saying, the average person, if they have no direction, how are they going to know that?
Oh, gosh.
You'd have to have-
I'm just wondering what that is going to...
You'd have to have
how that's
signage on
going to
there.
transfer to the city responsibility and the employees. You know, if a caterer or an average person uses it and they don't clean it, what happens? You know, I mean, I'm just thinking through a bunch of that. Maybe it
Well,
doesn't
you
really
know,
matter
I
for
guess-
this discussion. but-
I guess there's all kinds of problems you can have. You know, we would like to buy, like, roasters. We don't want to carry roasters up and down. So we're looking like 10 roasters. More than likely, one's going to walk away. You know, stuff happens. And like the sinks, to do the dishes is 3, and the prep sink is 2 deals, and the hand sink is 1. Common sense should tell everybody, you know, which is which. I mean,
Have you dealt with people?
Huh?
Common sense? Doesn't
Well,
always
no,
apply.
I think everybody has common sense.
There's
I
one
mean,
thing,
the hand wash sink looks like a hand wash sink.
there's one thing that, I know is available and used to be available is a food handling course that's required in certain circumstances that through the health department, that people who are working in such a kitchen can take that course and be certified, and then that because you learn what sink is what sink and what you do and what you don't do. So if you can have some people who, you can't probably require everybody who's going to rent that place to take that class, but I would highly suggest that some people do, so that there can be some direction for some of the people who are coming to rent.
I have a question. So, in regards to people knowing how to work things in the kitchen, if they don't utilize, say, the fire suppression system correctly and they break it, whose responsibility is to fix those appliances and maintain those appliances? Is it the city? Is it American Legion?
The city owns the building. Every resident of Washburn owns part of that building. If you pay taxes in Washburn, it's your building. The city manages it for us.
Are they gonna have to increase their insurance costs dramatically to make that
I don't know.
kitchen garage?
I don't know. All we did is we contacted the health department. That's all we did.
Yeah.
And as far as like all the technical stuff, what the city's gonna have to do, I have no idea.
You know, the city already has a kitchen. It's not like they don't have a kitchen already.
Right.
And they don't have any safety equipment down there. So this really would be better, I would think. Just a thought.
You know, like this kitchen,
Yeah.
anyone who has mobility problems has a problem, you can't go downstairs. You know, someone in a wheelchair, someone who can't walk very well, going downstairs is difficult for them. A kitchen on the main floor, and the entry is not 100% perfect. As you know, you can stumble going up that ramp. That needs to be fixed at some later date. But the kitchen downstairs was built in '54, approximately. It's not adequate. It is not adequate for Washburn. You know, Waida's trying to attract people. We're trying to attract people. There was years we would have one function in Memorial Hall. That was it.
Well, I know that your ultimate goal is to increase the number of times it's used,
Yes.
which will help with revenue. Is there,
Which-
you know, I mean,
Like-
the more it's used, the more costs are going to be associated with maintaining it, and, you know, potentially the rate of renting it should come into line to where it should be. I mean, you know, we talked about $250. If you add this extra amenity, it's still $250, or is it $300?
Well, that would be up to the city.
Yeah,
The city would
up
have
to
to
the
decide
That's
that.
up to the city, but I agree with you. 250
I know.
is way
Yeah,
too
after-
cheap.
After this, yeah.
But, you know, like, my theory, like a wedding, say if you have a wedding, if you feed 300 people, and if it costs you $5 a plate, that's $1,500. The bar sales will be $1,500. The rent of the building, and all the other stuff, people going to the other bars. I mean, if it's a wedding party, the bride, the groom, and all the attendants jump in their bus and they go to every bar, and they spend a couple $100 at each bar. Wedding people will go to the bar, they walk past the hardware store, they buy gas, they do all this stuff, probably pumps $5,000 into the community. And the city gets 2% of all that. But like one function a year, they get 2% of nothing.
Yeah.
Where if we have 20 functions a year, like 2 a month, it's far better than 1 a year. And I think, you know, a kitchen, it's not a total answer. We need a lot of things. Like, I hear all the time we need a motel. The Legion is not going to build a motel. I can tell you that.
Okay,
But
we're getting off track of it. Tony?
I just want to make one really quick comment. You know, maybe like before you guys actually commit to buy the appliances, you know, get what, we could maybe, you could get with some of the people in town, the restaurant people, you know? Because if it was me, I wouldn't know what a commercial refrigerator, you know, what would be a good item.
Right.
So that might, you know, leverage some of the expertise we have. You know, because maybe there's a cooler or warmer, you know, maybe that is one thing that you know, might need, so.
I think the committee said too, though, that, you know, the first thing is to get the thing gutted and, you know, which is gonna take some time. So there is some time, you know, you're not gonna buy appliances immediately until it's
No.
gutted out and you figure out where everything can go exactly, so.
Well, see, the restaurant supply in Bismarck, when we have it gutted, they'll come up and they'll measure, and they'll make the counters and everything to fit. They won't come up until it's gutted. So we have to gut it, and we'll probably get all the electrical in, the plumbing in, and so appliances and stainless steel is really a long ways out.
Anything else? Okay, there's no more discussion. The motion is for $55,000 out of community development infrastructure. So now, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay,
Thank you guys
with that,
for what you're doing.
is there anything else? I don't think so. Meeting adjourned.
It's been a pleasure, guys.
So see you next year for that.
Be back next year.
I thought mine was like, my work phone does?
Yeah.
This one doesn't, but our face is Geez, up there, well, for not being yours or mine. Well, it looks like a drum in here.
Sorry about that. That was funny. Trying to
Before the end of the
Yeah, a little bit.
Before the end, what's next? Before the end of the year.
I don't know.
Going home?
Yeah. I'm not going.
Not going back to work?
I'm not going back to work. No, I spend too many hours there the way it is. That too shall end one of these days when I find another can't be too soon.
Did Apple ever get a hold of us yet? We have, they were gonna dump like hangers and.
Oh, I see.
Like, we have a ton.
Are they plastics?
You
Um,
realize both adult
It's
and
an annual thing.
I think,
It's an annual thing.
I'd have to talk to Ed if we're all right with the kids stuff, but we probably could use some.
Yeah, but then the new one has to be, if somebody leaves, then the new one that gets appointed has to be
Oh,
presented to the city commission.
hundreds,
Yeah,
not
but-
thousands.
Just telling you.
No, I'm sure we could.
Not a bad
And I think we have some, a few other things like, well, I'm not sure what's left. We're kind of
Hey, gentlemen.
doing some cleaning,
Yeah,
so we'll keep you in mind about.
well, we're not taking like.
Or 500 is what I meant.
Anything like that.
It's a heck of a deal to
We
get
had
that building
like
used.
Well, now, see, that stuff we really.
No kidding, right?
We've had,
I just can't fathom.
our budget is gone for that.
gotta-
Because we had some racks full of
What?
racks.
They were not, we're not
Yeah,
discussing.
we have,
And
we have
we
the
used
recording
them
racks
all?
we're gonna get rid of when we get our new, furniture. We're getting new display racks. We'll be getting rid of some of our old furniture.
It will be at the commission meeting for sales and use tax.
Do that, that would be wonderful, that would be great.
I mean, that's the way I look at it, your back straight.
I mean, I've got an attorney general that I can call pretty easily, but,
Go right ahead.
alright, thank you guys.
If that was the case, you should have said something beforehand.
No, I read it black and white.
I read it once for a few. Huh? It won't be easy.
Well, I don't know. The question, why won't you're on the, no, you're not on the, but why don't they go for, the Guild grants, have to get grants for funding, we're making the attempt to make, it all
With the door locked, we just something about it, I turn the numbers on, you text on the phone. I thought, you know, maybe put it on.
Well, they gotta figure something out, but, regardless, I just look at black and white, and I read through it, and like, why did this ever get funded before? 'Cause to me, it doesn't specify, like I said, that's what I said, not that it can't change, incorporate that.
Yeah.
A lot of things should be changed. It's a public meeting, I wasn't here on that, I mean, I didn't even speak to him. I wasn't speaking directly with Larry, I wasn't talking about. I told Larry what we should do. I would love to do that, get rid of that desk.
I look at it, Colin, as we have that on center, we have one for 3 hours. Everything project.
Salary or, position, big project, big difference.
So we can just cause all that.
So we pick
They do enough of
it. That's my interpretation.
usually volunteer, know how it works.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, I'm guessing we have to. I mean, if they wanna do that, that's fine, and like I say, I'm not, not saying, I have my own reservations, pro and con. I'm just looking at black and white saying, this is how I read the ordinance. Give me a project to me that's like, kitchen project.
That's why I pulled that one out of bed.
That project is,
But if you have everything set up with commercial stainless steel counters, all that stuff.
no, I gotta look at it.
Like if she was here for the deal, she could supervise water and sewer and volunteer, or she could supervise, run the kitchen, because it's up to date.
Recommendations are for lawful purposes. Right, yeah.
There's only two, so.
There's only two against you, you're not gonna get in trouble.
Not yet.
She laughed.
Yeah.
You hear?
Huh?
You hear? You're gonna get turned into the AG.
No.
Welcome to the quorum here.
It's an open meeting.
Yeah, so I said, we're not stuck in city, well, what's this city business? Not in the
Nope.
city commission.
Jim, I started calling, it's a silly, it's not a silly little town, but it's a small town.
Exactly.
But you have someone listening to something like this,
Yeah, and
we better
I guess,
always.
yeah, because we weren't really commenting, or,
Well, you and I weren't talking about.
anything else, nothing else, no standards, no nothing like that. We were just on this topic, and we were listening, because it's going to affect us too. Because already they, electrical, and I believe that's right. The city should update some electrical because it's too far behind. Because nobody's ever done it, But it's one of those, when I talk to a few people, as long as it's an open meeting, that everybody can comment, and we're not voting on something,
And you aren't talking city business.
it should be just fine. So they can turn us in and,
Well, like, Larry, you said, okay, what happens if, you got high school kids, I got high school kids, and we're all at the school gym together.
they could turn us in then too.
Yeah.
Even though we're all in different corners, they can still turn us
Well, I went to the cabin on Friday night for the golf course fundraiser. I really don't care if anyone cares. Paul and I and Delvin, you may. Well, that's a big pool with rolling hardboard.
in. Yeah.
They didn't buy any lawnmowers or anything up there.
Right,
They drank beer and I had Diet Coke.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, we have to,
if she turns us in, we gotta just put it in the paper, this is what we were there for, it's an open meeting, we didn't decide any city business.
Oh, I'm sure it was in the paper.
Yeah, I'm sure it will too, but we gotta be able to put it in the paper too, our opinion paper, yeah.
And then you wonder why people don't want to be involved in anything.
Yeah. Oh, it's one of those,
I wonder why they don't buy the Bill Washington Liar.
yeah.
Or whatever, the newspaper.
Well, I didn't hear her say that one, but.
Yeah, yeah, they're walking in the corner.
We did more than stand up and you get blasted.
Yeah.
I didn't bring it up in the meeting.
Yeah, should have said, oh, by the way, this isn't a quorum, so.
Oh, let the Attorney General come in and we just tell him that.
Yeah, yeah, I was sitting there, you were sitting
There.
there, me and Lauren.
And Larry was there.
Yeah.
And there was no city business, it's all recorded somewhere, and then we might not be on camera.
Well, we weren't, but yeah, the mics were.
You'd hear it.
And we were just commenting on the kitchen project, which we have to decide anyway. How are we supposed to get our information?
I did this too.
That's the way it is.
Sometimes you hear, hey, what's going on, there's a quorum here. What do you mean quorum? Yeah, there's 3 idiots in the main room.
Yeah.
Take the rest off and do the electrical outlets.
That's not, I said it before, why didn't you, why can't you sit in the chair like anybody else and take notes?
Well, actually, we should start putting in another paper.
Oh, yeah.
Well, should I ask Suze from under to come down, see if I can, I know Suze real well.
Doing some of this stuff, you know, what, the extra, because that's free, if everybody gets that, but not everybody gets the leader. It's like convenience, really, if you want to publish meeting minutes.
B&H, isn't it?
PhD,
So it's all the
I think
same.
probably the same.
Yeah, it's just who owns it or who's running it.
What I had been told is, folks from there have a lot of basically pushing for a chance to make it important down there.
I should ask Suze what's going on with that. She's the Underwood one.
Yeah.
Weird?
Yeah. Underwood sort of waiting now.
Yeah.
Oh, very.
Yeah. School with her husband. But if not, I'm wondering if, I can talk to somebody that used to work there, and who knows what's going on. There used to be, my boss's daughter, Finneman, Terry Finneman used to work for DHG.
It just isn't good to do that way.
No.
It's not like you guys do, I think. You weren't